The neon-drenched corridors of Nexus Station pulsed with life, a cacophony of alien languages and the hum of spacecraft engines creating a constant background noise. Matt Reeves stepped off his battered freighter, his worn leather jacket creaking as he adjusted the laser pistol at his hip. The station's artificial gravity tugged at him, a reminder that he was far from Earth. As Matt made his way through the crowded docking bay, his eyes scanned the diverse crowd. Tentacled cephalons haggled with reptilian saurians over crates of unknown cargo. A group of ethereal luminites floated by, their translucent bodies glowing softly in the dim light. This was Nexus, a melting pot of galactic cultures and a haven for those seeking to disappear. Matt's comlink buzzed. He ducked into a shadowy alcove and activated the device. A gruff voice crackled through. "Reeves, your target is Zorg, notorious arms dealer, last seen in the lower levels. Watch yourself. He's got friends in low places." "Roger that," Matt muttered, ending the transmission. He'd been tracking Zorg for months, and now the slippery bastard was within reach. The thrill of the hunt surged through him, but first, he needed information. Matt made his way to the station's seedy underbelly where the neon lights flickered and shadows seemed to move of their own accord. He pushed open the door to a dingy bar called the Edge of the Universe. The acrid smell of alien tobacco and cheap liquor assaulted his nostrils. As his eyes adjusted to the dim interior, Matt's gaze was drawn to the bar. Behind it stood the most striking woman he'd ever seen. Her skin was a deep, mesmerizing blue that seemed to shimmer in the low light. Her eyes, large and expressive, held a hint of sadness that intrigued him. She was undeniably alien, yet hauntingly beautiful in a way that transcended species. Matt sauntered up to the bar, his usual confidence faltering slightly as those captivating eyes met his. "What's your poison, stranger?" the blue-skinned beauty asked, her voice musical and teasing. "Whatever's strong and won't kill me," Matt replied with a roguish grin. "I'm Matt, by the way." "Jew," she said, her lips curving into a smile that made his heart skip a beat. "And don't worry, I save the lethal stuff for special customers." She winked, then turned to mix his drink with fluid grace. As Jew worked, Matt found himself mesmerized by the play of light on her blue skin. He'd seen countless alien species in his travels, but none quite like her. "So, Jew," he said, leaning on the bar, "I'm looking for some information. Heard of a guy named Zorg?" Jew's movements faltered almost imperceptibly. "Zorg? Can't say I have, but then again, I hear a lot of names in this place." She slid a glass filled with a shimmering purple liquid towards him. "Why don't you tell me what brings a handsome bounty hunter like yourself to our little corner of the galaxy?" Matt raised an eyebrow, impressed. "That obvious, huh?" Jew laughed, a sound like tinkling crystals. "The gun, the jacket, the way you carry yourself. Plus, we don't get many humans out here unless they're running from something or chasing someone." "Fair enough," Matt conceded, taking a sip of his drink. It burned pleasantly going down, leaving a fruity aftertaste. "And what about you? Something tells me you're not from around here either." A shadow passed over Jew's face. "Let's just say I needed a change of scenery. Nexus is as good a place as any to disappear for a while." Matt nodded, recognizing a kindred spirit. "I've been there. Sometimes the past is best left behind." Their eyes met again, and for a moment, the noisy bar faded away. There was a connection here, unexpected but undeniable. Matt found himself returning to the edge of the universe night after night, ostensibly to gather intel on Zorg, but increasingly drawn to the enigmatic bartender with the sad eyes and quick wit. As the week progressed, Their conversations deepened. Ju spoke of her homeworld, Linnea, a place of rigid traditions and stifling expectations. "I couldn't breathe there," she confided one night, her voice low. "Every aspect of our lives is controlled, even our relationships. I needed freedom." Matt shared stories of his own adventures, carefully edited to omit the darker aspects of his profession. He found himself opening up more than he had in years, drawn in by Ju's genuine interest and sharp insights. On the seventh night, Matt stumbled into the bar, clutching his side where a vibro blade had sliced through his jacket. His informant had turned out to be working for Zorg, and the meeting had quickly devolved into violence. Ju's eyes widened as she saw the blood seeping through his fingers. Without a word, she vaulted over the bar and was at his side in an instant. "Come on, tough guy," she murmured, supporting his weight. "Let's get you patched up." She led him through a back door and up a narrow staircase to a small apartment. The room was sparsely furnished but clean, with a large window offering a breathtaking view of the star field beyond the station. As Ju tended to his wound with gentle hands, Matt found himself studying her face. In the soft light of her apartment, she looked even more beautiful, her blue skin taking on an almost ethereal quality. "You're staring," Ju said softly, not looking up from her work. "Can you blame me?" Matt replied, his voice husky with pain and something else. Ju's eyes met his, and the air between them crackled with tension. "Matt," she whispered, "I should warn you, my people. We don't do casual. When we choose a mate, it's intense." Matt reached up, cupping her face in his hand. "Who said anything about casual?" Their lips met, and the universe seemed to shift on its axis. As they fell onto the bed, clothes being shed with frantic urgency, neither of them was prepared for how this night would change everything. In the afterglow, as Ju's breathing deepened into sleep, Matt gazed out at the stars. He'd come to Nexus hunting a dangerous criminal, but he'd found something he didn't even know he was looking for. As sleep claimed him, his last thought was that maybe, just maybe, the universe had more in store for him than he'd ever imagined. Little did he know, the real adventure was just beginning. Matt stirred, his body aching from the previous night's exertions, both the fight and the passionate encounter with Ju. He blinked, disoriented by the unfamiliar surroundings. The events of the night came rushing back, and a smile tugged at his lips. That smile quickly faded as he registered the panic in Ju's vivid eyes. She hovered over him, her blue skin pallid with worry. "Oh no," she muttered, her hands fluttering over his body. "It's worse than I thought. You're awake." Matt propped himself up on his elbows, wincing as his wound protested. "Of course I'm awake. What's wrong?" Ju's antennae twitched nervously. "You should be in deep hibernation. This is all my fault. I should have warned you about the physiological effects of mating with a Linean." Before Matt could formulate a response, Ju had leapt from the bed. She rummaged through drawers, muttering under her breath. Matt watched, bemused, as she returned with an assortment of strange objects, crystals, herbs, and what looked suspiciously like a ritualistic mask. Ju? What exactly are you planning to do with those?" She paused, crystals clinking in her hands. "Heal you, of course. You're clearly suffering from sleep deprivation due to our coupling. Don't worry, I know some traditional Linean remedies." Matt couldn't help but chuckle, which only seemed to increase Ju's distress. "Sweetheart, I hate to break it to you, but humans don't hibernate after sex. This is normal for us." Ju's jaw dropped. "But that's impossible. How do you bond? How do you process the experience?" "We process it just fine while conscious," Matt said, reaching for her hand. "Come here. Let me explain." But Ju was already shaking her head. No, there must be something wrong. I need a second opinion. Before Matt could stop her, she had thrown on a robe and dashed out the door. He flopped back on the bed with a groan. Well, this is going to be interesting. Over the next few hours, Matt dressed and attempted to go about his day, all while being subjected to increasingly bizarre cures for his supposed affliction. Ju had apparently consulted half the station's population, and each seemed to have their own idea of how to induce hibernation in a human. A Cephalon merchant insisted on wrapping Matt in bioluminescent seaweed. A Saurian shaman attempted to realign his sleep chakras with pungent incense. The final straw came when a Luminite suggested a ritual dance with moonworms, slimy, phosphorescent creatures that left trails of glowing mucus. "Enough!" Matt bellowed, dodging a particularly enthusiastic moonworm. "Ju, we need to talk. Alone." He dragged her back to her apartment, leaving a trail of confused aliens in their wake. Once inside, he turned to face her, his expression a mix of exasperation and amusement. "Ju, I appreciate your concern, but you need to understand. Humans don't hibernate after mating. We just don't. It's not how we're built." Ju's antennae drooped. But how can that be? On Linnea, the hibernation period is crucial. It's when mates bond on a cellular level, when their bodies and souls intertwine. Matt's expression softened. He reached out, cupping Ju's face in his hand. "Maybe we do things differently, but that doesn't mean what happened between us wasn't real or meaningful." For a moment, it seemed like understanding dawned in Ju's eyes. Then she pulled away, shaking her head. "No, this is all wrong. I need time to think." She fled the apartment, leaving Matt alone and frustrated. He ran a hand through his hair, sighing heavily. The hunt for Zorg suddenly seemed like the simpler challenge. Over the next few days, Matt threw himself into his work, trying to ignore the ache in his chest whenever he thought of Ju. He tracked Zorg's movements through Nexus Station's underworld, piecing together the arms dealer's operation bit by bit. What he didn't notice was the flash of blue skin in the shadows, the worried eyes following his every move. Ju, torn between her feelings for Matt and her ingrained beliefs, couldn't stay away. She trailed him through the station's seedy underbelly, convinced that his affliction would lead him into danger. It all came to a head in a dingy warehouse on Nexus's lower levels. Matt had finally cornered one of Zorg's lieutenants, a surly Saurian named Krex. He was seconds away from getting the information he needed when a clatter from the shadows startled both men. Ju stumbled into view, having knocked over a stack of crates in her attempt to get closer. Krex, seizing the opportunity, drew his blaster. Matt dove for cover, cursing under his breath. "Ju! What the hell are you doing here?" he shouted, returning fire. "Saving you from yourself, you stubborn human!" she yelled back, ducking behind a pillar as laser blasts scorched the air around them. In the chaos that followed, Krex managed to escape. Matt and Ju found themselves pinned down by Zorg's reinforcements, forced to work together to fight their way out. As they finally stumbled to safety, adrenaline pumping and clothes singed, the dam broke. Weeks of frustration, misunderstanding, and unresolved tension exploded into a heated argument. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Matt raged. "I've been tracking Zorg for months, and you just blew my best lead." Ju's eyes flashed dangerously. "Me? I was trying to protect you. You're clearly not thinking straight, running around like this when you should be resting, bonding." "For the last time, Ju, I don't need to hibernate. This is who I am, what I do. Why can't you accept that?" "Because it goes against everything I know," Ju cried, her voice breaking. "How can I trust what I feel for you if our bodies don't sync up the way they're supposed to?" The anger drained from Matt's face, replaced by a deep sadness. Maybe we're just too different, he said softly. Ju's antennae drooped. Maybe we are. They parted ways, each nursing a wounded heart and a battered ego. Matt threw himself back into the hunt, more determined than ever to bring Zorg to justice. But as he dug deeper into the arms dealer's operation, he uncovered something that chilled him to the bone. Zorg wasn't just dealing in weapons. He was trafficking in people, specifically Lineans. The blue-skinned aliens were highly prized in certain circles for their unique biology and the psychoactive properties of their skin secretions. Matt's blood ran cold as he made the connection. Ju had mentioned fleeing Linnea seeking freedom. What if she was a fugitive, not just from her planet's rigid society, but from something far more sinister? His comlink chirped, displaying a message from one of his informants. Matt's heart nearly stopped as he read the words. Zorg's men just grabbed a blue-skinned female bartender from the edge of the universe. Thought you'd want to know. In that moment, all of Matt's doubts and frustrations evaporated. Cultural differences be damned. Ju was in danger, and nothing else mattered. He checked his weapon, a grim determination settling over him. "Hang on, Ju," he muttered, striding towards the station's shadowy lower levels. "I'm coming for you." As he disappeared into the neon-lit underbelly of Nexus, Matt knew that this was more than just another hunt. It was a rescue mission, a chance at redemption, and possibly the key to bridging the gap between two very different hearts. The real adventure, it seemed, was just beginning. Matt's boots echoed on the metal grating as he crept through the bowels of Zorg's ship. The acrid smell of engine fuel mingled with something more sinister, fear. He could almost taste it in the recycled air. His mind raced, replaying every moment with Ju. Her laugh, her touch, the way her blue skin seemed to glow in the starlight. He'd been a fool to let cultural differences come between them. Now, he had to make it right. A muffled cry snapped Matt back to reality. He pressed himself against a wall, peering around a corner. Two of Zorg's thugs were dragging a Linean woman down the corridor. Her skin was dull, lacking the vibrant blue he'd come to associate with Ju. Matt's jaw clenched. This ended now. With practiced precision, Matt took out the guards. The Linean woman stared at him, wide-eyed. "I'm looking for Ju," Matt said, helping her to her feet. "Blue skin, about this tall, probably giving Zorg hell as we speak." The woman nodded, pointing down the corridor. "Cell block C, hurry." Matt sprinted through the ship, dispatching guards with ruthless efficiency. When he reached cell block C, chaos erupted. Alarms blared and the sound of laser fire filled the air. In the center of it all stood Ju, wielding a stolen blaster with surprising skill. Her blue skin was marred with bruises, but her eyes blazed with defiance. "Took you long enough," she quipped as Matt dove behind cover next to her. "Traffic was hell," he shot back, unable to suppress a grin. "Ready to get out of here?" Ju's answering smile was fierce. "Let's show these bastards what happens when you mess with a Linean and her, whatever you are." They fought their way through the ship, freeing other captives as they went. Matt marveled at how in sync they were, anticipating each other's moves as if they'd been partners for years. As they neared the docking bay, a gravelly voice stopped them cold. Well, the famous Matt Reeves and his exotic little plaything. Zorg stepped into view, flanked by heavily armed guards. The arms dealer was a mountain of a man, cybernetic implants glinting menacingly. "I must thank you, Reeves," Zorg continued, his tone mockingly cordial. "You've saved me the trouble of hunting down this particular escapee." He leered at Joe. "Do you know how much her kind fetches on the black market? Especially one so spirited." Matt felt Ju tense beside him. He stepped forward, placing himself between her and Zorg. "The only place she's going is away from here. With me." Zorg's laugh was like gravel in a blender. "How quaint. The human thinks he's in love. Tell me, does she hibernate for you? Or have you not experienced that particular Linnean quirk yet?" Matt's finger tightened on the trigger of his blaster. "Doesn't matter. Some things are worth staying awake for." The firefight that erupted was brutal and chaotic. Matt and Ju fought back to back, their earlier misunderstandings forgotten in the heat of battle. They were a perfect team, Matt's precision and tactical mind complementing Ju's unpredictable, acrobatic style. They battled their way through Nexus Station, leaving a trail of stunned guards and bewildered civilians in their wake. Zorg pursued them relentlessly, his cybernetic enhancements giving him an edge in stamina. The chase led them to the station's bustling docks. Ships of all shapes and sizes loomed around them, providing cover and obstacles in equal measure. "We need to end this," Matt panted, ducking behind a cargo container. "Ideas?" Ju's antennae twitched thoughtfully. "Actually, yes, but you're not going to like it." Before Matt could respond, Ju darted out from cover. She moved with inhuman grace, drawing Zorg's fire and attention. "Ju!" Matt yelled, his heart in his throat. He watched in horror as Zorg took aim, his cybernetic eye glowing with deadly precision. Time seemed to slow. Matt's body moved on instinct, throwing himself into the line of fire. The blast caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. As he fell, he saw Ju's face contort with a mixture of fear and determination. She launched herself at Zorg, her lithe body a blur of motion. What happened next would be talked about in Nexus's seediest bars for years to come. Ju's skin began to glow, emitting a dazzling, psychedelic light show. Zorg stumbled back, his cybernetic systems overloading from the intense alien bioluminescence. With a final acrobatic kick, Ju sent the arms dealer tumbling over the edge of the dock. The splash was lost in the chaos of the moment. Ju was at Matt's side in an instant, her hands hovering over his wound. "You idiot," she murmured, but her tone was fond. "Why would you do that?" Matt winced, managing a lopsided grin. "Couldn't let you have all the fun. That light show thing was new." "Linnean defense mechanism," Ju explained, helping him to his feet. "Comes in handy sometimes." As the station security forces finally arrived, Matt and Ju found a quiet corner amidst the chaos. The adrenaline was fading, leaving room for all the unspoken words between them. "So," Matt began, suddenly feeling awkward. "About the whole hibernation thing." Ju held up a hand, silencing him. "I've been thinking about that. Maybe we've both been too rigid in our expectations." Matt nodded, hope blooming in his chest. "I'm willing to learn if you are. We could figure out our own way of doing things." Ju's smile was radiant. "I'd like that, though I have to warn you, I'm not giving up on getting you to hibernate someday." Matt laughed, then winced as his shoulder protested. "Tell you what, how about we start with a nice long nap, after we get this patched up, of course." "Deal," Ju said, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "But don't think this gets you out of the moonworm dance. I've grown quite fond of those little glowing guys." Weeks later, a small, nondescript ship drifted through the star-studded expanse of space. In the cockpit, Matt and Ju sat side by side, a comfortable silence between them. "So, where to next?" Ju asked, her blue skin shimmering softly in the starlight. "Another bounty to catch? A new world to explore?" Matt considered for a moment. How about we do both? There's a fugitive supposedly hiding out on Epsilon 4. Tropical paradise from what I hear. Could be a nice working vacation. Ju's antennae perked up with interest. Ooh, I've always wanted to see a beach. Do you think they have moonworms there? God, I hope not, Matt groaned, but he was smiling. You and those damn worms. Ju's laugh filled the cockpit, a sound that never failed to make Matt's heart skip a beat. She stood, stretching languidly. Well, if you're going to be like that, maybe I'll just have to find other ways to entertain myself. She sashayed towards the back of the ship, throwing a sultry glance over her shoulder. Care to join me for some cultural exchange? Matt grinned, setting the ship to autopilot. Now that's the kind of diplomacy I can get behind. As he followed Ju to their quarters, Matt marveled at the strange turns his life had taken. He'd started this journey hunting a criminal, only to find something far more valuable. Sure, they had their differences. He still couldn't sleep for more than a few hours without Ju panicking, and her obsession with those slimy moonworms was frankly disturbing. But they were figuring it out day by day. In the end, that's what love was all about, wasn't it? Two people from different worlds, creating something entirely new together. As Ju pulled him close, her skin beginning to glow with that mesmerizing bioluminescence, Matt knew he wouldn't have it any other way. Dear intrepid listeners and fellow cosmic adventurers, you've just completed your journey through the star-crossed tale of Matt and Ju, a story that boldly goes where no romance has gone before. If you're listening this, congratulations. You've survived encounters with moonworms, weathered cultural misunderstandings that would make even Spock raise an eyebrow, and navigated the treacherous waters of interspecies dating without the aid of a universal translator. As any good sci-fi fan knows, the genre has always been about more than just cool gadgets and space battles. Though let's be honest, those are pretty awesome too. At its heart, science fiction explores the human condition through the lens of the extraordinary. In Galactic Hunt for Love, we've attempted to continue this grand tradition, examining love, cultural differences, and the challenges of communication, all while dodging laser blasts and outsmarting cybernetic arms dealers. For those of you keeping score at home, yes, there were indeed several Easter eggs and references scattered throughout the story. Did you catch the subtle nod to Douglas Adams in the name of the bar, The Edge of the Universe? Or perhaps you noticed the similarities between Zorg and a certain flamboyant villain from The Fifth Element. And let's not forget the classic Star Trek trope of the away mission romance. Though in this case, our blue-skinned beauty isn't going to be forgotten by the next episode. We hope this tale has entertained you, made you think, and perhaps even inspired you to look at your own relationships in a new light. After all, if a human bounty hunter and a bioluminescent alien can make it work, there's hope for us all, right? As you close this video and return to your normal life, or as normal as it gets for sci-fi enthusiasts, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep an open mind. You never know when you might encounter your own blue-skinned beauty or ruggedly handsome space rogue. And remember, in the immortal words of that great philosopher, Dr. McCoy, in this galaxy there's a mathematical probability of 3 million Earth-type planets, and in all of the universe, 3 million galaxies like this, and in all of that, and perhaps more, only one of each of us. So cherish your uniqueness, embrace the diversity of the universe, and for the love of all that's holy, stay away from moonworms. Those things are just weird. May your adventures be plentiful, your cultural misunderstandings be hilarious, and your love be as vast as the cosmos itself. Live long and prosper, but never hibernate after mating. Your humble author, Sci-Fantasy. P.S. If you're wondering about the scientific accuracy of Linnean biology, we assure you that we consulted extensively with imaginary xenobiologists. Any resemblance to actual alien species, living or hibernating, is purely coincidental. P.P.S. No moonworms were harmed in the making of this novel. They're surprisingly robust little critters,